is your go-to move when your team gets eliminated from the playoffs? Do you cheer for your backup team? Do you jump on the bandwagon of the hottest team? Or do you just stop watching the playoffs? I mean, nobody stops watching the playoffs, right?
Well, okay. So here's why I was talking about this with the 10K boys. I went on their main podcast, It's a Bit, this week. And we were talking about just like the postseason grief that we go through as sports fans. And I feel like how I absorb hockey content after the hockey season is over for the Wild is like the 5 stages of grief. Like for a while, I'm just angry. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want anyone to ask my opinion about anything. Then I go through this phase where I convinced myself everything was fine. I still enjoyed the season. It's not the end of the world. Then I'm like, okay, I'm back on the wagon. I'm going to pick a new team to root for. And then I'll get bored for a little while and then I'll pick it back up once it gets towards the end of the playoffs. So everyone knows my backup team is the Maple Leafs, partly because they're an East Coast team, or an Eastern Conference team. So I don't feel guilty. Also, Austin Matthews is the love of my life, aside from my boyfriend. Love you. And so I have to root for them. So I do cheer for them, but unfortunately they're just like the Wild and they're usually on the first round too. So then that's where I hit my phase where I'm like, okay, I don't really want to watch for a little while. And then usually I'll just pick the hottest team to root for after that, anybody who's not a rival of the Wild. So now I'm rooting for Tampa Bay. Jesse, what's your go-to move?
I'm less invested in it just in general, I guess. Like I also take the opportunity to like step away from hockey just for like a smidge, right? Like I'm like, I need to decompress a little bit of it. Yeah. Stuff goes on. I'm not as invested. I still like to watch it. Like there's been the playoffs, there is nothing like it.
Yeah.
But I definitely find myself, the longer I've worked in hockey, the less that I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go. Like I need a little break, but obviously cup finals, I'm all in. I don't even care who wins. I end up just cheering, I think, even through the playoffs, just for like a good game. Like I don't have usually the people I pick don't win anyway. So like,
same.
Whatever. Yeah. It's fun. Like right now, I just want to see a good series between Tampa and Colorado. Like those are two of the best. Like, let's go. Give me 7 of that. Whoever wins. I mean, both teams have Minnesotans on it. You guys know I cheer for my Minnesotans. So both teams, the cup's coming here. So whatever. I'm sure Nico Sturm will even bring it here. So
that I would love to see Nico Sturm win a cup. That would be pretty cool. I was talking to the 10K boys about just like the burnout of working in sports while also being a sports fan. And like, people who don't work in sports don't understand this, but like you love the sport so much. That's why you work in sports. Like that's why we went into this career. But like being a sports fan while also working in the sport is a very like wild emotional roller coaster, that there is that burnout when the season is over. You're like, okay, I don't want to worry about anything. I don't want to talk about the sport. I don't want to watch anything. Like I just need a few days to myself. And I know, Jesse, you feel the same way. And it's really hard to explain to people who don't work in this industry.
Oh, my husband hates it. He's like, ever since you started working in hockey, we watch less hockey. I was like, weird. Sorry.
It's because that's all we do for work is watch hockey.
For work. Yeah. Like he had even asked the other night, he's like, I kind of would like to watch game 1. I'm like, well, yeah, it's the cup finals, dude. Of course I'm not going to say no to the cup final. Like, let's watch the cup final. Like we've got the boys even kind of into it a little bit, only because we let them stay up a little bit later. They're like, well, I just want to watch the first period of hockey. And I'm
Smart
like, you
boys.
little sneak, you know why? Like, you don't really care about it. But similar to Anthony's sibling rivalry that we just talked about, Caden deliberately picks the opposite team of Hudson too. He's like, well, I want the blue guys. Well, I want the white guys. Like, what? Yeah. He's like, well, I want the blue and the white guys. Like, they're both blue and white. This was during the Tampa New York series. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like
classic.